It's fine. It's we're here now. Hey, as you can see, we're not the this is not the regular Purposeful Forever show. This is a special edition of Purposeful Forever.
Yes, special.
Yes, indeed. That's where you jump in. We got the wives in the building. We're gonna have an amazing conversation.
Not we. We're gonna have an amazing conversation. He's going.
I'm gonna be in the comments. So we're gonna kick it off, and then we're gonna let the ladies have it. All right, we'll be right back. Your turn. Yes.
Hey, I don't know. My intro seemed like it was a little wonky, but here we are, guys. So yes, tonight, instead of Purpose for Forever, well, it's still the same thing. You are going to get the wives. The wives have something to say. So as you can see, I have a wonderful panel of ladies that will be joining me tonight. And the Mr. and the Misters will be in the comments, hopefully. So ladies, introduce yourselves and tell everybody who you're married to and how long. Don't everybody jump at the opportunity.
I'll start. Okay. Good evening. My name is Tangela Terrell. I am married to the wonderful Ephraim Terrell. And we have been married for 12 years, almost 13 in November.
Wow, nice. Okay.
I'm Alicia Curvey. I am married to Kaneem Curvey. We've been married since April 16, 2016, but known each other since October 29th, 2011. That's the anniversary we celebrate. So still excited, still feel like a newlywed, even though we're a year off from that.
Okay.
I am Shanetta McNair. I am married to Michael McNair. We will be married 22 years on Friday.
Oh,
happy anniversary.
You know, how is it that y'all wait till we online and y'all say stuff that I be feeling like I should already know? We're gonna talk about this later. So, of course, my name is Samantha Walker, and I'm married to my normal Monday night co-host, Anthony Walker. Technically, I don't even know if you can add and subtract, but if you add all our years together, we've been married about 23 years, technically. But we've just hit a year anniversary.
All right.
A few days ago. Yeah, let that math work out in your head. I know, sounds a little hinky. But here we are. As you can see, all of us ladies are married. I will say happily married. That does not mean it is without trying times or without times of, possible frustrations, all the normal things that happen in a relationship. We all experience different things at different times. But we all are happily married. I'm just going to put that out there. And so tonight, there's been several things that I see all across social media land, about wives, about women, and I'm like, okay, I think the wives should stand up and have something to say. I see all these, forums where men talking and husbands are talking, and more times than not, the wives aren't really saying a lot. So tonight I wanted to take that opportunity to kind of maybe set a few things straight from our perspective. So ladies, you with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with something easy. So the other day I saw a clip. It was 3 guys on a panel. I'm gonna say by the conversation that I don't believe any of them are married, but I could be wrong because I don't even know their names. But the statement that was made was 90% of everything you get from a wife, you get from a girlfriend. So there's no point in getting married anymore because you can get the same things from a girlfriend. So I'd like to know what you ladies have to say about that statement. Do you think that's true?
I think that girlfriends should stop doing wife things until they become wives, and then maybe, guys wouldn't feel that way because they get disappointed when there's no proposal and you've been waiting all this time for a proposal, but you're kind of doing everything that he needs, so he has no reason to try to take it to the next level because you guys have already made it to the next level. You're living together, you've started a family together, and you're doing everything that a married couple would do except having the official titles. And I think that has become more of a norm. I think more so recently than more of an advertised norm. Let me say that, because there was a such thing as, and I don't know if they still do this or not, the common law, like after 70 years of living together and being together, you were common law, husband and wife. The only problem that I see, not the only problem, but I mean, I could list some problems, but one of the main problems that I see with that is that you have a lot of situations like recently where the couple has been together all this time, they weren't married, and then the guy, unexpectedly, unfortunately, dies or passes away, and she has a right to nothing that she helped build. And it was all in his name. So like it all goes to an escrow estate or whatever until they can sort out who gets it. And then they come out to the end and they say, well, no, we can, do this for the children. But she's not even taken care of because she's not his wife. And I guess if you love someone that much to build such a great life together, then go ahead and take that next step. We go and get a license for our pets. We go and get a license for our guns. We go and get a license to drive a car. We go and get a license for certain jobs that we have to have. So if it's something that you care about enriching and building a life together, you should go ahead and take that next step and get the license.
Okay. Hey, Lisa, thanks for joining us. I'm sorry. Hold on, Tenzin. So just tell me, Shanetta, from your standpoint, you said a lot of girlfriends are doing wife things. From your standpoint, list me at least 3 hot ones, 3 hot things that you feel like are wife things that you now see or hear of girlfriends doing.
We're making a home together, like we're living together, paying bills together, buying houses, like literally committing to like not just renting houses, but like we've gone out and like we're purchasing a home together, but we're not married. I mean, you have the common stuff of, oh, they had a baby together, but that's kind of a little bit more everybody doing that. But I mean, people are like they're building these whole lives together. They're making major life purchases together, but it's still no stability in what they have. On top of that, I mean, yeah, like you're cooking, cleaning, making a nice little comfortable life for a man that has made no commitment to you. other than to say you my girl. Like at a certain point, how do you introduce that person? How do you label them in the obituary? Your special friend? I wouldn't want to be anybody's special friend in their obituary. I'm sorry. Like, and I mean, after a certain age, you don't want to be the girlfriend because like you're a whole grown woman. So I don't know. I just kind of think like we do a lot and we don't have official
legal rights and anything.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Tangela.
Well, I echo Shanetta's sentiments 100%. But what I find interesting though is that these same men, they understand the concept because they'll go out and marry someone who is a wife and not a girlfriend. So it's almost as if, they're taking advantage of the woman who wants a relationship that bad that they will be willing to commit and submit, even though they aren't in a covenant relationship, just to turn around and marry somebody who has a different type of standard. I'm not going to say a higher standard, but have a different standard to say, no, I'm not giving you those things until we make a commitment to each other, until we make a covenant agreement with each other. So they understand because they'll turn around and go marry somebody who will hold that standard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alicia?
I was initially thinking about what it depended on what those men's idea of a wife was and what their idea of wife things were, because some people think of wifely duties as, moving in, paying bills together, and some just look at it as she cooks dinner for me, she makes lunch for me, she, just things anybody could really do for you, but you're looking at that as wifely duties when there's so much more. So I guess I would want to know what was their idea of wifely duties. And because when I look at it in total, like everyone else was saying, the legal rights you don't have. So you've done all of this stuff, because I do know women who are in their 50s and 60s who dated men for 20, 30 years and they passed and they have nothing. But they also still maintain their own home. So whatever was left there, and they weren't in the obituary as anybody other than included in the host of friends. And they say, they were okay with that. So I guess it's just each individual and what the definitions are of wife and girlfriend and all of that. But in my own opinion, I feel like what someone said initially was, I wish girlfriends would stop, trying to play roles of wives. But then what role are they really playing? Is that considered a wife? I guess I would have to ask. It just depends on the individuals.
Okay. Do you feel like being a wife is going out of style? Like when you look at society, you look at the things that are highlighted and, the things that are promoted in society. Do you think they're pushing that narrative? I'm not going to say that being a wife is going out. Do you think that narrative is being pushed? Like being
I think it is. I don't think it's going out of style. I saw a statistic, and I don't have it with me, that there's been an increase in 2-parent households. Okay. So I think that there is, especially in the Black community. I think I know from what I've seen and kind of my vantage point that there's two competing thoughts. You have what you see on Instagram. But I think people are realizing that, social media is not real life. You can't do this stuff in real life. So we're looking to people who have longevity and have stability and have flourishing and thriving relationships and patterning themselves after those people, our grandparents who've been married for, decades, and, other people we can point to. So I've seen that people, aspire to have that covenant relationship and not just kind of settle for, being just a girlfriend.
Right. I've seen a little bit of, I would say both, where, there are people who aspire to have that covenant. And then I've watched people maintain and stay in long-term relationships for years and even acknowledge the other person as their husband, or their wife, but everybody knows that they're not, that they're not married, that they're just, these are just, free for all titles that they simply use. If I were to name names of people that I know, which I would never do, by the way, I could list probably at least 5 couples that I know of that have established long-term relationships and at one point had the idea and the thought, like people say, oh, I don't want to be married. Like I'm happy just the way we are. But I don't think that's always true. Sometimes it might be, but I don't think it's always true. And in some of these relationships that I've observed, the girls want to be married, definitely. And the guys have just kind of strung them along a little bit, and it's not okay, but they've tolerated it for years, but they yet acknowledge, the person as their spouse, as their husband or wife, or as, these are my in-laws, and, that kind of stuff. And it's kind of sad to watch sometimes when you know that they desire to be married.
And marriage rates are going up, but divorce rates are going even higher too, because people are not getting married for the right reasons. They're getting married for the wedding, for the planning, even with babies now. People can't wait for the reveal parties and the whole pomp and circumstance of the baby showers. So there's a lot of misconceptions about what being married is. People still get married with the wrong notion, or pressure from society or from family or from their age or, their job, ministry, whatever. And so the divorce rates, I guess, as we realize, or consult God, some of the marriages are just coming to an end because they shouldn't have come together in the first place, or just coming to an end because people are trying to find themselves as individuals. But I think society does have a great deal to do with marriages, wives being portrayed in a certain light. Because on one hand, you have it where in order to have careers and be successful, you can't really be the traditional wife. But then they're saying you can be a traditional wife and still have a career. So it's kind of divided. Or you don't have to have marriage at all. You can co-parent effectively. So there's all kinds of different ways out there that they push, but not so much the woman who can have, I guess you can call it all, your marriage, your family, and your job.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So I just want to make a note of saying how, although we all are very much women, born women, raised women, live as women, the whole marriage has taken on a whole new concept as of late. It's not the I'll say Bible inspired way as it used to be. So now marriages look very different. So I feel like although the marriage rate may be increasing, it is not the, like I said, Bible inspired idea of marriage. It may be 2 people, but yeah, they're just that. So I want to make that point because I've seen a lot of that. So Anthony says, do you think social media is blurring the married line?
Definitely.
Yes.
I think social media is blurring all lines. Social media has blurred the marriage line, it's blurred the parenting line, it's blurred, morality, things that, that used to be unacceptable. Social media portrays it as, the next big thing to do. So I think, unfortunately, social media has replaced common sense for a lot of people. Like they relied on social media to influence their life way too much.
Yeah. And then I think it's kind of desensitized a lot of people to what would be just common courtesy and human decency is kind of out the window. Like I know that there was a story about Wendy Williams and how she reported on somebody who passed away. And it was like, you don't even have respect for the deceased and their family to, and so it's almost as if all news is good news, or there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Mhm.
And in the age of social media, it's kind of like, whatever I can do to go viral, or, so it's desensitized and kind of separated us from each other anyway. So yeah, and I think Ms. Curvey alluded to it. You see the glitz and the glamour of the wedding until that's what is being sought after,
Right.
but not the realities of marriage.
Mhm.
I absolutely agree. So we're gonna switch topics just a little bit, slightly switching. Okay, so we're gonna move right along. So we were talking about. Well, I said, how social media has, blurred all the lines, and as soon as we take this break, we'll come right back and talk about that.
This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Ready to go live? Go to bit.ly/StreamYard.
All right, that was quicker than I anticipated, but we are back. So I want to talk from a wife's standpoint. So I think maybe it was the other day. Me and Anthony went somewhere, and every other person that came through the door was almost naked. I mean, I've seen the cracks of people's behinds. I've seen almost a whole nipple. I mean, just all here. I've seen so many belly buttons. It's like just a lot. And I said to him, and I know maybe he just answered that way because he's my husband and that's the way he felt he needed to answer. I don't know. But I was asking him, I was like, so is it ever too much? As a man, does it ever get tired? It's so much. I don't even want to go out to eat and be looking at a man without a shirt on and his nipples and abs the whole time either. I think from a woman's standpoint, I don't want to sit and look at that for hours. You know what I'm saying? The human part of you notice people's bodies. You notice it. It's impossible not to, no matter what you tell yourself. Let's not lie on social media. So we notice people, if they naked, you notice that. If, she's showing you everything, but the home run, you see all of that. And I just, as a wife, when you go out, with your husband, right? Is it ever offensive to you? How does it, do you have any thoughts on it? Do you feel like how a woman dresses matter? Should it matter how they're dressed out in public, at family restaurants? Should it matter? Does it matter to you? Does it bother you? Do you just, whatever? What's your thoughts on it?
I immediately go to my daughters and think, okay, how do I keep them from doing this?
Right.
It's not that I'm offended or, clutching my pearls. I somewhere think, okay, well, what happened? Why do you feel like it's okay to, show your body like this? But I think, again, my thing is, how do I make sure my girls don't think that it's okay to, to come out in public, looking like you're going to a beach or looking, like you going to bed.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I guess the second part of that question, I've seen too, a lot of men with their girlfriends or their wives or whatever they are, and she half naked and he with her, and I think it was the movies. We were at the movies, and this girl, she came through, her belly was out, her back, cleavage, whatever. She had what looked like maybe a 3 or 4-year-old trailing behind her. She's so busy twitching and switching and being naked, the poor baby just running behind her. And I was like, do you think even being with a man, do you think that's acceptable? That's an acceptable look? you know, if you was with your husband, could your dress be cut all the way down here? And he like, baby, let's go.
If I was with or without him, I'm not walking around with a dress cut all the way down to anywhere. I think, and I want to say this, and then I know as soon as I get done saying it, it's going to be like, well, no, there's an exception to the rule because she's like 50 and still dressing like that. I feel like maturity comes with age, and after a while, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm done showing off the girls. Like, let me put on a little bit more, you know, material with my outfit. But then you always have the exception to that rule too, where, you know, you get, you know, Miss Mary, and she's kind of out there with everything.
Miss Mary.
Best thing I can come up with.
Listen, Mary's my mother's name. I'll make sure.
I see that, Mary. My auntie Mary though, she, you know, she walk around in a whole full-length fur coat and some kitten heels all the time, so she not showing off the business. but nonetheless, I do think that the younger crew is kind of like YOLO. You only live once, like, you know, let it all hang out, like you got it, flaunt it while you got it. I don't get offended. I don't think, sometimes I'm intrigued. Just like, wow, like, is that dental floss? Like, what do you have? It's kind of like almost amazing because you're kind of like, well, okay, that's an interesting outfit there. But that's because I'm just goofy like that. And I'm just like, wow, like that takes some serious boldness. Like you just can't just like that, like just everything, like nothing left to anybody's imagination whatsoever. So I don't think I get offended necessarily. I'm just kind of like, and I think sometimes I do, depending on what it is, I kind of think how Tangela is thinking, like, what happened that makes you feel like this is okay and this is how you should be outside looking.
Right. So I'll say this. We went out to this place for like a birthday celebration, and the waitress, first of all, she had the nastiest attitude ever. Not only did she have the worst attitude, but she came over to take our order. Like it was all couples there. So every woman was with, you know, like when she came over and it was like, you know, I was ordering food with a side of breast. I mean, her chest, like literally they could have been in Anthony's lap. Like that's how much of them was all out. And I was like, you know, ma'am, is it, you know, you would think that you serving people food, ain't that unsanitary or something? I don't know, but it was driving me crazy all night that they were just everywhere. I don't know, it bothered me. But Ephraim said, is it about building self-confidence? Do women feel empowered when they dress sexy? And I say there's a difference between dressing sexy and sleazy. And unfortunately for me, too many times we've passed the sexy mark and landed right in Sleazyville. But that's my personal opinion.
Yeah. I want to just say that I think it's still, again, what that person's definition of confidence or even sexy and sleazy, because I've seen stuff that I would consider sleazy and someone was thinking that is just sexy, or they didn't cross a line because they're just showing off, you know, what they worked on. Maybe someone lost weight. I mean, there's so many reasons why someone would dress like that, whether they're showing off their physique, something happened to them and that's just the way they were raised, that you just, you know, let it all hang out or whatever. I mean, I've asked even adults who have kids that, you know, dress kind of revealing, and then you see the parent is like, wow. And so, well, why do you dress like that? And then their reason is because, you know, they don't feel they're naked, but at a certain age, that's naked. But at this age, I'm not naked. So it's all about what someone thinks or perceives as nakedness, sleazy, sexy, and what confidence looks like. Some people feel like confidence is being naked. And for me, it's not being naked at all.
Right. So Trina said, definitely the younger generation has a different take on modesty and the need for it. Right. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I don't know, like just everything everywhere. Like in my mind, I would think as a man, like some parts, like okay, at home, of course, there's parts of me that my husband wants to see. But in the same sense, when I leave outside the door, there's parts of me he don't want to see outside.
Yes, don't want to
Right.
see.
Right. And he definitely don't want everybody else to see
Right.
outside. Like, that I don't know. It's a lot.
I feel
Going back, no.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Going back to Elder Terrell's comment too, is that sexy does not always mean uncovered.
Right.
So you could cover yourself appropriately and still have a sexy appearance or a sex appeal to, if you're going on a date night with your husband or your boyfriend, if you're still dating, you want to look good. You want to feel confident. You want to feel beautiful. You want to feel attractive. You want him to do a double take when he see you come, out the door to the car or, whatever. Like every woman wants to feel attractive. So like there are certain things that we can do for ourselves in the way that and still be modest and still be, appropriate for our body types, our ages,
Right.
and all of that. And I think that a lot of times people do things too in the way that they dress that are not just like, it's a cute outfit. It's just not made for your body.
Right.
And that's okay. You don't have to wear everything that's out here hot and blinging because you're trying to, put it is not appropriate. And it's some outfits that are just not made for, thin girls. It's some outfits that are made for bigger girls. And that's okay. Like we can't just we can't put on everything. You have to know what fits. You can't wear every color.
Right.
Like be told.
Right.
I'm probably not going nowhere in a neon orange, jumpsuit. Like, sorry, it's not, I can do some oranges, but I can't put on everything.
I think especially as, if mothers of girls or if you have any influence over young girls, I think it's important for us to build that confidence from the inside out and not, external circumstances, because now you see it's the dress and it's the promiscuity, or it's this need to have a man with money, and that make you feel, and I think really taking our time to set that example that you can be confident based on who you are. And nowadays that's not appealing, because that's not what seems to get the most attention. It's the overtly sexy and all of that gets the attention. So I think we have to kind of catch our young girls as early as possible to try to instill that in them, that that don't make you sexy. And if you with a man who is comfortable with you going out with him like that, he probably does not care about you.
Yeah.
Because Ephraim will have a fit.
Yeah.
Hey, Rich, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the show. Okay, so you were talking about, if you have influence over the younger generation, do you ever feel like we're fighting almost a losing battle with the next generation? When you see social media and you see everything on TV, and like we talked about on Saturday, you have the hot girl summer and all this other stuff. Do you ever feel like you're almost fighting with one arm tied behind your back?
I don't think so. I just think that we have to understand that this generation communicates and thinks differently. And I don't think they should be ostracized or put down for that. I think that we have to find creative ways to engage and interact with them, because they're listening, they're watching. But, if we are, just putting them down and telling them, how they lazy and this, that, or whatever, then they're going to shut down. So I think if we're truly concerned, we will find a way to communicate. I'm pretty sure, our generations went through that with the generations before us who thought, that, those bell bottoms and those afros and stuff. I'm pretty sure that they kind of felt the same way about the generations after them. But this generation is a lot more sure of their kind of their ideals, even if it's kind of based in whatever is based on, but they are a lot more resolute and headstrong. So I think it will take a little bit more finesse than just, you're wrong, I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to say that it's fighting a losing battle when I think all of us have kids that are within that generation, within the generation of people that are of influence right now. So you can't feel like you're fighting a losing battle because you kind of have to raise a kid within that, and you kind of have to make sure that you're still molding them and the people around them, because sometimes it's not just necessarily molding your own child, it's you have to mold their friends too, in certain ways to make sure that they're kind of around the right people. So you have to drop those nuggets. My daughter is college age, and oh my goodness, sometimes I'm like, who raised you? But don't be judging my baby. She do what she do. It is what it is. There's some days that she comes out of her room and I'm like, go back. She was going to a birthday celebration one time, and I promise you I raised her better, but I'm still give this example. She got dressed in this really cute little dress. She has a cute little figure, so she got dressed in her little cute little dress and came out the room. And my question was, I was like, girl, do you have on a bra? And she was like, my back is out in the dress, Mom. No. I was like, ma'am, you're going to need to wear a sweater, a jacket, or something. I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm going to need you to go back in the room, and I'm going to need you to handle that, because that's not how you're going out the house. I think after about 30 minutes of her being annoyed with me, she did what I said. Because she knew that, like, you're not going out the house like that. Right. But it's what her friends do, and it's how they get dressed, and it's this is what we're doing. And she had to figure out how to piece her outfit together appropriately, because this dress she bought had her back out, and her mama was like, no ma'am, like, this is not how this goes. So it's all in not letting up sometimes when you have that connection with a young person where you can say something, and it's all in how you say it. It wasn't a big powwow fat. It wasn't like a fight. It wasn't like, oh, you out here looking, like a da-da-da, and like beating her down about it. It was just kind of like oh no ma'am, that's not how we go out of the house. That is not what we do.
Yes, it's optional.
It is so optional, and it's like, okay, no ma'am, I need you to, like, you have to, like, these are our standards. This is what we do. So she had to turn her little self around,
get it right,
and get it right.
All right. So Taiwan said, who is she dressing for? I don't think he's not talking about your daughter.
Right.
So he said,
probably a boy. I don't know.
No, I don't think he's referring to your daughter. I think it's just a question.
Just in general, yeah.
If she's looking for male attention, a younger woman might be more revealing. A woman in a relationship who feels she has a nice body but not seeking male attention might wear clothes to cover her body but still show off her curves.
Agree.
I agree. To some degree. I can kind of go with that. I guess who you're dressing for, I guess it matters. I don't know. Like, I've always been of the mindset, like, I kind of dress for myself. Like,
comfort.
I feel like as a woman, I don't know. Like, I feel like somewhere our minds have gotten clouded. Like, as a woman, men are going to look at you regardless. Like, I don't know why that's such a hard concept, for women to get. Like, I have to be extra naked. There are men looking. Like, you ever had a day, maybe in the past, because we know we're all married. So, like, in the past, where you might run out to the store, you got on like some ugly sweatpants, might even have your hair tied up, whatever. And some guy's like, hey girl, you like, what is it you see that I'm missing? So, like, I feel like guys are going to look at you. It's just the nature of the beast. Like, there's always going to be somebody that looks. I don't feel like we have to just put it all out there. I mean, it's like we putting out buffets when we leave the house. Like everybody get a touch, a squeeze, everybody get a feel.
Well, I talk to my daughter from the standpoint of just the way the world is now, because there were things I wore as a young girl that I got to pick and wear, but I didn't have any sense of sexuality about myself at that time because I was just a naive girl. I had a nice body. I ran track, played basketball, and I just liked how I looked in my clothes, but I never felt like I was putting it out for someone.
Right.
But then I had friends who dressed like me too, and they were putting it out, and they were a little more curvier. I was just straight up and down, but I had, in my mind, I had abs, I had all that. So I love that part about wearing crop tops, but I didn't have that other piece. So when I'm talking to my daughter who's just 14, when she's asking about a crop top, I kind of feel bad in a sense because I did wear them. But I want to understand why does she want to wear them? Because I'm looking at the way the world is now, even more. Not that it wasn't that way when we were younger. It's just more. We have so much more media, so much more going on than back in our day. So I want her to understand that not to fear what's out there so much, but just be aware that it's out there and what people are looking for. So why do you want to wear your stomach out? And she really didn't have an answer other than, it's just cute and it's just the way, just like how I felt, but I don't want her to. So I say there's like a happy medium. You can pick those shirts, but you pick a really cute tank top to go up underneath it.
Absolutely.
Lift your shirt up and you're good. And she'll do it, but she's 14, but I could see she's going to be the one that's going to want to test the limits of things. And I'm having to just keep having conversations. We sit, other place, and I'll say, wow, she'll say, Mom, look at that. We went to a restaurant where it wasn't the Hooters, but it was the shorts where your butt's out. All of the waitresses had them.
Oh.
They covered up here, but the butt was out here. Just a regular restaurant. I would have never known. Me took my dad home, and I was like, wow. I said, if you could wear shorts like that, would you? She was like, with my butt out? I was like, I know, huh? So hopefully, she won't teeter so far on the sleazy sexy, but understand, like, as she's dressing, just some kind of decorum about herself. Because there's so many reasons to do it out here, and without that tapping into the fear side of,
Okay. So we have a question. Kaneem said, does the age of the parents play more or less into this topic? I think that's an excellent question. I think, some of it is the younger parents, because I've seen like some parents dress like, they're 6-year-olds in the crop tops, and the short shorts. And I'm like, why? Like, why would you want eyes on your defenseless child?
Yeah.
Like, why would you turn your child into prey? Because literally, like, I feel like as a parent, that's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But I think in some cases, yes, I think age definitely can play a factor.
And maturity as a parent too, because I've known people my age who allow their young girls to do the same thing. Either it's kind of like, I didn't get to, so you go ahead, and they can kind of test all the limits of dressing any old kind of way, especially prom time. I was so surprised. Oh, yeah. Some of the dresses, some of the ladies who are my age let their girls leave home, almost like, where is the dress? So I was so I think it's either sometimes could be maturity or just maybe what you might have missed out on. And a lot of them missed out on going to prom or wearing what they wanted. And so they get to live through their child in their child's body.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Ephraim says, does sexy have an age limit? Are you ever too old?
Oh. You know who I think about? I think about people like Eartha Kitt. To me, she oozed sex appeal. And it wasn't in how she dressed. I mean, she was, I don't know how old she was when she passed, but maybe 70s or 80s. But I think it was in how she carried herself, So I think when we hear sexy, we automatically see boobs and butt.
Yes.
But I think sexy has it can be classy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it can draw people, in. So, it's possible to be more captivating than a woman who has, little to nothing on. I think it's that knowing who you are, knowing, what you have to offer, it plays a bigger role in it. So I don't think it has an age limit. Now we talking clothes wise, yes. Body wise, yes. There is a stuff start, headed down south.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not as
Right.
gravity done, kicked in.
Right.
But even then, like I said, I think, a woman's personality, her charisma, that is the true essence of a woman, not her body and not, what she wears. I think that is what we should, be instilling in our young girls.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this one's probably going to be our last topic of the evening, and this one is probably going to be the most interesting one. So all the husbands in the comments, I want you guys to listen really hard to this. So as soon as we come back from this break, we are going to talk about being submissive as a wife. Is that old and played out? How does it factor into life today in 2021? As soon as we're done with this break.
This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Ready to go live? Go to bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. That's bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. This episode is also brought to you by Self. Build credit now. Go to bit.ly/now build credit. bit.ly/now build credit.
Yeah. Sam, can't hear you.
Now you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what was happening. As usual, I'm gonna have to fire my producer. So, ladies, we are gonna talk about, like I said, this is that last topic. I saw some things online. I'm gonna read y'all some of these comments that I saw so tell me, being a submissive wife from your standpoint. So I'm gonna ask a 2-part answer. You don't have to answer both parts, so you can answer however you like. So do you consider yourself to be a submissive wife? And if so, what does that look like in your marriage?
That's a question for us.
Huh?
You're saying that that's a question for us?
Yes. Do you consider yourself to be a submissive wife? And if so, what does that look like in your marriage?
I try to be. I will have to to see if it's translating well, but I believe that I am. I think submission shows up in various areas or aspect of our marriage. It's not. I don't know if it has necessarily a look, but I believe I kind of feel like it's a gift to know that you could exert a certain level of power, but choose to. I don't even want to say power. I think to submit is to support, in my opinion. So I kind of look at it as not a giving, quote unquote, giving you permission, but I believe is supporting you in your position. As we follow the biblical model of family and marriage, as my husband being the head of the house. But what good is a head if he doesn't have support? And so that's kind of how I see my role. But I'm pretty sure my husband will tell me if he agree or disagree.
Ephraim, be smart. Don't mess up your happy home. Alicia?
I definitely think that I'm submissive, but I think because we understand each other's roles, it's still considered submissive because there's some things that I'm better at and there's things he's better at, and that may traditionally be a male role and vice versa. And so we would try to honor those things about each other and when it comes to maybe final says, and it just depends on what area it is. Most of the time I'll default if he's really adamant about something, because I do know if he makes a mistake, he's going to apologize, one, and that's needed. I need that. And two, he's going to fix it. So I grew up in a household where my dad can make any old mistake he wanted. And then we all just suffered, and there was no sorry, there's no fix, just get on with it. And so that's big for me. And so I can follow someone like that, who will apologize, who will make amends, who will fix it, or, listen to me. If I have the better idea or whatever, that I definitely think I'm submissive. And I hope he would agree. She doesn't want to mess up a happy home either.
Right. Okay, Shanetta.
So, I would first answer the question of, am I a submissive wife? I would say yes. And I'm going to kind of go a different route with the rest of the response. So, while y'all were talking, I was looking on my phone on Google for the definition of submissive to see if I was really a submissive wife.
Okay.
But honestly, no, I've had this conversation before. I do believe that I'm a submissive wife. I believe that submission looks different in every household.
Right.
I believe that submission looks different for every wife. I believe that not being submissive might look different for, every person that may consider themselves not to be a submissive wife. But what I will say is that I agree with Tangela. It's not really a look for that it's kind of more of a feeling that you, a connection that you have with your spouse. But the definition said,
okay,
obey.
Uh-huh.
It also said yield.
Uh-huh.
And another one said willing to submit to the authority of another. So in looking at those words and looking at those definitions, like you hear modern day marriages, women don't want the word obey in their vows, and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, obey who? Like, and that's kind of the attitude or the mindset. When it comes down to like making a final decision, if we're kind of like, we have difference of opinion with regard to a final decision, I can submit to his authority. Now, oh, buddy, if you get it wrong, you might hear it.
They already know. I don't even have to say a word.
I mean, I might look at you like, I told you that wasn't gonna work. However, I'm gonna submit to to the decision, and we're in it together. Now, my submission out in public is not going to look to embarrass him if he does make the wrong call or the wrong decision. If he goes in the wrong direction, you will never know that I'm not his ride or die in public. Like, you just won't know. Like, he can be out there wrong as 2 left feet, and I'm literally gonna be like, that's my boo, just as wrong as ever. Like, we out here with 2 left, like, just we out here in these streets, and we get home and be like, sir, that was not, it wasn't okay at all. It might not even make it till we get home. It might be in the car, like, have you lost your mind? Like, are you serious right now? But I think that it comes in just that. I think I heard one of you guys say support and being there. So I think all of that comes together with submission, but it's really hard to submit to. I'm gonna stick beside him. That's right.
That's mine. I'm gonna stick beside him.
But I definitely think it looks different for each couple, and that each couple has to establish what that submission looks like. Because it's really hard to submit to somebody that you don't trust emotionally. It's really hard to submit to somebody that you don't trust them financially. You don't trust their decision making, all of that kind of stuff. So I think that it comes in the building of a relationship, and a man has to feel like he has some type of authority and position and place. And I just think that's a must. Like, a man has to feel like he's the head of his household. He has to feel like he's in charge of something. Like, no man wants. I watched a movie, was it Best Man Holiday? And she told her boyfriend at one point in the movie, he was like, "You act like you don't need me," and she was like, "I don't." And that was her response to him, is like, I don't. And financially, so she didn't. Like, she had, you know, the power, the money, you know, all that kind of stuff. She had her own. And you can have all of those things, but a man still wants to feel needed in your life. And submission comes in that. Like, it makes that man feel needed and valuable. Just like we want to be treated like we're ladies. Like, I was talking to my husband not long ago, and I was like, I just want to be treated like a lady in general. Like, I don't want nobody treating me like I want you to go put gas in my car. I want you to open doors for me. Treat me like a lady any day of the week. I mean, like, I'm okay, because y'all know how I am. I think two of y'all know how I am. I don't put we're not gonna go there. Okay.
Right. We're not.
We're just not gonna go down that path. But I want to be treated like a lady. So if I want to be treated like a lady and I want to be held like I'm precious, like I'm, you know, like I belong to someone and upheld to, you know, on this little pedestal, then I also have to give you what it is that you desire in this relationship too. And you want to be treated like a man. You want, like my husband want to hear sometimes, baby, you the man. Like, just like, and he'll walk in the door and I don't know what he's talking about. He could be on the phone with somebody and he'd be like, baby, who the man? And I'd be like, you the man. And I'm minding my business, cooking dinner, watching TV, whatever. I don't know what he's talking about. He probably could have told him something crazy on the phone. And I'm just like, you the man. And I'm going back to doing what I'm doing. But he, you know, they need that. And just the same as we have things that we need in our relationships too. So yes, I believe in being submissive. And I don't know what the second question was anymore, but I think I'm good at being submissive.
Okay, so Taiwan said, if you being submissive is received with love and respect by your husband, you need to do this. It's in the best interest of the relationship by y'all's indications.
Yeah.
Okay, so the ladies agree with that. Ephraim, I thought we left this topic alone. Does a woman's sex drive go out before her desire to dress sexy stuff? I have no idea. I didn't even know how to answer that, especially online. I will say, do I think I'm a submissive wife? Listen, he's in the comments, and I'm sure he'll have a whole lot to say. I feel that I have my submissive moments. I'll say that. Like, and I don't always feel like it's intentional. Like, I don't go into something saying, oh, I'm just gonna be a renegade. Well, no, that's not true. Some days, depending on it, but I will say, like, I'll let him know, like, I'm just gonna be a renegade. Like, I'm gonna go rogue on this. And, you know, and I'm going rogue. I know how you feel. I know what you think, but it's just down in my shondo and I can't let it go. So, like, you know, but but like on a whole, I feel like I'm a submissive wife, especially now, way more so than before, because, you know, like you were saying about the Nia Long, where she was like, oh, well, yeah, like, you don't need me. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of don't. Like, and I still will say that, but I explain it differently, because I feel like I don't want anybody to need me. I want you to want me. I want you to want me as your wife. I want you to want me as your partner. I feel like when you like saying to me, you need me, that's like a real heavy burden to carry in my mind. And this is, you know, like this is my own personal thing. Like, you know, I always tell him, like, I don't need you. I want you. I wake up and I choose you every day as a man, you know, that I love and that I want to spend the rest of my life with and that I want to grow and change with. So, you know, as it, so he said, I can't breathe when you're going. It's so crazy. But I think, and like you were saying, submission looks very different to everybody else. I think somehow people have misconceived, you know, what a submissive wife should be, with the whole, you're just supposed to shut up and follow. Mm-hmm. Like, and to me, that's not submission. That's almost like idiocy. Mm-hmm. Like, you just, you know, you're just gonna go because you say go. Like, I'm submissive. You know, my husband comes to me with stuff and I'll listen and then I'll say, babe, have you thought about this?
Yeah.
Did we think about that? Or how does this play in? Or how does this affect me and the kids? You know, like how does this affect our household? Like I'll always ask supporting questions, you know, so like to make sure that we got all our bases covered. And when he's like, oh no, I got this, I thought about this, I'm like, all right, let's do it. We're gonna ride it out and kind of see how it goes. But you know, in our household, I will say, you know, he definitely is the head of the household. He's the man. He leads by example. He runs in the forefront. You know, like you were saying, Tangela, like I'm the support. I'm the, you know, I'm the backup. I'm the support. However, you know, like I got his back. I'm gonna support him. I'm gonna, you know, cheer him on. That I don't know about that whole wrong in public thing. Like it depends on what it is. Like for me, because if you wrong, like babe, I need to, you know, tap you and say, okay, just, you know, back that up or just come on, sit down or something. I mean, like in my mind,
text it to him.
Yeah, it's like, you know,
like, shut up.
Like, you down me, like not like that, but like that whole, you know, it just depends. Like, cause I'm like, oh, I can't go with you on that one. You're my husband, but you gonna ride that one alone. Like it just, you know, for me, it just kind of depends. And I would say, you know, the amount of time that we've been together, he understands and knows those things, you know, about me. Like if you wrong, listen, I'm gonna tell you wrong, and then we're gonna figure out how we fix it together. You know, like he knows that I'm gonna have his back when things fall apart, when it goes wrong. And I think like a lot of that is woven into the submission piece. Like, you know, it's not just okay, he said it, we're gonna do it. What she said? She said, Taylor, shut up, text. Right. Sometimes you gotta, you know, sometimes you gotta help them out and say, baby, no, stop. Just people are listening. But you know, somebody I think said, made a reference to, you know, how you know each other. And I think it was you, Alicia, you say, you know, you understand the strengths, you know, about each other. And I think we're at a point where we know that. And then he doesn't have, you know, unrealistic expectations of me. And me, you know, for him, like he doesn't expect me to go somewhere and depending on where we're going, you know, and turn into the social butterfly. Because he already know, like, I'm gonna find somebody I know, and that's the person I'm gonna talk to all night. You know, like there's certain things he know about me. I know when he get in a room full of people, you know, he gonna walk around and he gonna say hi to everybody. He may not remember you, but he gonna talk to everybody, you know, in the room. And I think, you know, what works so well for us is because we do understand each other and we are realistic with expectations and what we expect of one another. And I think that is extremely important in relationships. You know, a lot of women have feelings about being submissive. I can't submit to no man. I don't want nobody telling me what to do. And it's not really that cut and dry. Right. It shouldn't be overbearing. It shouldn't be controlling. Like that's not, you know, that's not how a relationship is supposed to run, period. Like, you know, the two of you, y'all supposed to have a perfect harmony together. Nobody else has to understand the beat or the rhythm. But you know, like when we in the house, we the walkers, we got our own beat, you know, like we're doing our own thing. But to the outside world, it may really look crazy. But I think you definitely can model your relationship and what submission looks like for you, you know, to where it works for your household. And I think that's the important thing. I know, Shanetta, you said you want to be treated like a lady. Like, yeah, like when you single, you gotta take your own car to the shop. You gotta, you know, either change your own tire or call somebody. You know, you gotta take out your own trash, and you know, you gotta lift heavy stuff and try to reach stuff on the top shelf. When I get married, it's like you're my partner. Now you have a partner, you know what I'm saying, to do the things that, you know, maybe I didn't really like doing. Like I didn't like picking out the trash. So now I don't have to you know, little simple things that you just you know, you can find comfort in some of those things just by being submissive, because you giving that man that boost that he needs. He's like, oh yeah, let me make sure I got you covered, baby. Let me make sure, you don't need something. Let me make sure you don't want nothing, because I know you got me. I know you here, and you're gonna be there. And I think we miss out on some of the beauty that can be in a marriage, because everybody got their own plans of what they want to do. Like a house divided. He going to the left, you going to the right.
Yeah.
It is like destined to crumble, because you both going in different directions. So I wanted to read some of these comments. It was under a post where someone was talking actually about submission and how it's a woman's nature to be soft and nurturing and whatever, and so a woman really wants to submit, but kind of like men, need to know that and go into it looking for those things. Right. Ephraim said, I cannot do this alone. Right. Like, nobody wants to feel like they're alone. So one of the comments said, he said, women say they'll do this, submit. They'll do this and that, be submissive for the right man, just to remove responsibility off of themselves. So do you think, do you think that happens, that women just, they say they'll be submissive, but only to the right man? So do you think that's like giving them an out? Like,
I mean, even the Bible says, wives, submit yourselves to your own husband, though. Like, I don't have to be submissive to everybody.
No.
I'm only required to be. So I mean, I can see that logic of being a woman being submissive to the right person or to their husband. But I don't see a boyfriend. Like, I don't think you need to be submissive to somebody you talking to.
I could see it when I was married before. This is in a whole nother sense. When I was married before, my husband was on drugs. And so we were on a little roller coaster. He would work, wasn't always out there, but he would, mess up everything. And so I couldn't be submissive to him with bills and being responsible and all of that. And so that always came up in our marriage. Like, you're supposed to be submissive to me. And I said, how can I follow you if you're not, acting as a responsible head? And I've even had preachers saying, that's your husband. You have to allow them to make the mistakes, and then God will cover you both. Like, so when I heard that question, I immediately thought about that. And in my head, I was thinking, I know how to be submissive, but it won't be to him. And so I know how to be submissive is to Kaneem. He is the right person because he is actually the head. He leads by how God would want our household to be led. He's not all Bible versed, but he definitely follows those, precepts and commandments concerning being a husband, being a father, and that I didn't have that. So on one hand, I thought I was being disobedient even by not following my ex, because I chose to be married to him. So I guess I should have been subject to whatever happened as a punishment too. But it's a lot of words that went into me needing to be submissive to him. And in my head, I knew if I'm submissive to him, I'm going to lose way more than I'm losing. So I couldn't.
Right. Okay. So another comment said, I like the general thought behind being submissive, but I say before him comes you. You have to feel safe or secure within yourself first. A man that has these things will add to your ability to be your best self. We have to stop expecting other people to provide security for us. That's our job.
I don't know.
That was a lot. That was a lot. And I think it's not an expectation of someone providing security for you so that I'll submit if you do this or if you do that, if you can provide this or that thing. I think it's that I think that submission comes in emotional connections with your spouse. When you feel that safety, when you feel that security, even prior to marriage, I think prior to marriage, you know, if that person is someone that you could ultimately give your all to, not even just submission, just being able to give yourself, being able to be vulnerable, being able to open yourself up and allow yourself to be free in the relationship. If you have all kinds of red flags about being free in the relationship before you marry the person, God knows that's just not going to change. Like, you getting all kinds of flag here, flag on the play, every time you turn your head, you're not going to be able to submit to that. So I don't think it's about, that sounds like a little bit of it, like, because it was a lot in that comment, a little bit of it sounds like a selfish gain type of situation. Like, I'll be submissive if, you know, and I don't think that that's what true submission is truly about. I think it's about the relationship, the connection, the integrity that you all share within that relationship, of it being a safe space, of it being a place of peace and a place of, I think, love and passion between two people, where we can say, okay, I can do this. Because Tangela said the scripture about submitting yourselves to your own husband, but there's another one that says that you submit one to another.
Right.
So when you're thinking about that, like, there are so many scriptures that talk about how the husband is supposed to treat the wife,
right,
and how the husband is supposed to cherish, and like, it's just so many like scriptures that can talk about how he's supposed to treat us, not just what we're supposed to do for him. So it kind of goes both ways. Like, we're kind of working this thing together. And if I'm building a godly, you know, marriage and that type of foundation, then it doesn't make it hard for me to make the decision that while I'm courting or dating or whatever, you know, you want to call it, the pre-relationship before the marriage, you kind of know, and you kind of know that when he gets down on one knee, if you should say no, because this is he's not the one. If he even makes it to that point, because no. But I think prior to getting there, like, you know, you kind of know, yeah, this is what, we connect on that level, and we can do this together.
All right. So I saw this question. This is the final one. I saw this question online, and I was really surprised at the answers. So it was a guy. He was asking other guys. So I'm going to ask you, ladies. Okay, let's go with Kaneem. Will a marriage survive if the husband is submissive and the wife is not? I think it may survive in the sense that they may be together for a long time, but I think it's going to be more misery than happy. Like, they just together, you know, because of whatever the reason is. You know, sometimes they say it's cheaper to keep her, or, you know, they'll get divorced. We don't believe in divorce. Or sometimes it's, you know, financially we got too much we'd have to figure out, or too expensive. You know, I think it'll survive. It may have longevity, but I don't think either one of them would be, you know, that happy to be with the other. Well, actually, the wife might be really happy, because it seemed like she would get the most of what she wants. You know, if he's being submissive to her, then she's going to get the most of what she wants.
Yep.
I just don't think he'll be totally happy when it's not reciprocated.
Agreed.
Okay, so the question was, so ladies, what was some of the things that your husband did when you were dating that let you know that he was the one? Like, before he even proposed, or maybe you had a scenario, maybe you didn't know he was the one. He was proposed and you said yes. But were there things that he did when you were dating that made you feel like he was the one? And if so, what were those things? Name like two of them. because I know some of y'all probably got a long list. Girl, he did this, and he did that, and he did. So we're gonna give me the two. Look, Kadeem said, "Tell him sweet." So give me the hot two. The hot two. Alicia, you go first since your husband have called you out.
He paid attention to small things, like he listened. And that just blew my mind. You listen. The second thing was he just enjoyed making me happy, cooking for me, like seeing me smile. He would always say, there she go with that smile. Like, you enjoy making me smile. And that was something new and foreign to me. So I felt like that was the one.
Okay. Shanetta, you look like you got a whole lot going on.
I knew you were gonna call me second, but I was like enjoying hers and not thinking about my answer. I was like, oh, I like that. So 2 hot things that you said that I could say that informed me that he was the one. I think it was just, we were friends for a while. And then our official dating to marriage was a very short period of time. It was not very long at all. Started dating in March. We were married in July. Not going to get into that whole, story, but we had known each other. So I think that in getting to know him, he would tell you it was because he made me laugh. That's what he was. He was like, I made her laugh, and I cooked for her. Those are the 2 things he would definitely say. Okay. I would have to say that he was intelligent. Okay. And it was a different kind of intelligence. It was a different kind of drawing. He doesn't have, 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees, but he's just so sharp. And I think his intelligence really captivated me. And it took me a while to get to know it, because initially I was like looking at his exterior, the way he dressed, how loud he was and all that kind of stuff. So it was just kind of like, oh my God, he's annoying. And then getting to know him, it was just kind of like, he's kind of smart. Like, I don't know, it might be something there. And other than his intelligence, I think it was just his sweetness. He was just kind. He was just loving. He was just different. And I can't really pinpoint it in really 2 things. That's why this list can probably keep going. He was just different, and it was fresh. And it was just like, yeah, I can marry you. Okay, we can do this.
Before you answer, hold on. So for the husbands that's in the comments, I know Kaneem is still in there. I don't know if Ephraim's still in there. Walker's still in there. So guys, I want you to answer that. What was at least one? You can put 1 or 2. One of the things that your wife did that made you know she was the one. For all the husbands in there. Even if you're not married to somebody on here, I don't know if Taiwan is still in the comments. But yeah, so you guys put it in the comments. We want to know.
Mike is asleep. Gotta work.
And I think
Ephraim he got to work early in the morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ephraim should be getting off work soon, so he might be in the car.
Oh, okay. So Tangela, go ahead and answer.
So I think to kind of lump into one, I would say he demonstrated his commitment to me very early on.
Okay.
Without saying too much and putting my daddy on blast, my dad did not give Ephraim the easy time. And I knew for certain, that's okay, this it's over. But he was like, I'm in it. So he showed me that he was not easily swayed. Okay. So that showed me like, okay, well, if you can, and I'm not gonna say stand up to my daddy, but if you can withstand my dad, because like I said, he was not, and we kind of had a short engagement too. We met May of 2007 and we married November 2008. Okay. So it was, yeah. So it took some people some adjusting, so, but he stayed right beside me, and demonstrated his commitment to me. And then I would say the second thing is that he had a very authentic and very real relationship with God that appealed to me, because I grew up in a church and knew how people could be phony, and I didn't want that. Like, I even, when praying for, my husband, I was like, I don't want to marry no preacher. I don't want him to be no elder. I just want him to be like good, saved brother. That's all I really want. Maybe a deacon, but I don't want nobody who's kind of in this culture. But so when when we met, he was very excited about his relationship with God. So his commitment to me, and then just watching him, it was almost like I got saved all over again, just kind of watching how excited he was about God, not necessarily about church. As we progressed, now he's an elder, now he's kind of gotten ingrained into the church. But I think it's even just kind of deepened our relationship, because we talk about the word, we talk about what God is saying to us, and it's very exciting and easy to trust when I know that my husband wants to please God. His desire is to first, his commitment is to God first and to me second. So I'm like, I'm good. Anything else we can work on, we can work through. So that really kind of solidified in my mind that we can work this out.
Okay,
Man.
that was good. I was waiting for my husband to put something in these comments. He about to be in trouble. So I would say, Anthony and I went to high school together, and we became like best friends in high school. Like, I would walk to his house or ride a bike to his house, and I would type his papers because he couldn't type, and help him with his French homework and stuff. So we were like really close friends in high school. And then after high school, he went away to college, and I stayed local. When I got ready I had to leave college for various amount of reasons, but I was like devastated. And so in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, who could I talk to that would understand, and listen to me and really care that I'm devastated? And immediately his name jumped in my head. I didn't know what happened to him after high school, because I hadn't seen him in like a year. So I called his house, and his mom was like, oh, he's in South Carolina State or whatever. And I was like, okay, so I'm about to hang up. But she said, hold on, I'll get his number. So I call him, and like instantly we just started talking. Like, it hadn't been a year. We talked and we talked and we talked. And, we started dating. But like, for me, what made me feel like he was the one is I realized, even in that moment when I was devastated, and I was like, who could I trust to talk to that could really understand what I was going through? Like, I immediately thought of him. So I always felt like I can trust him. Like, if I needed to cry, I could cry, and he wouldn't be like, what you crying for? Like, he always, even as a friend, he was always attentive to whatever I was going through. Like, he used to sit in the back of the class. To be honest, I'm surprised we passed some of these classes. Me, him, and Taiwan Vereen, because we used to sit in the back of the class and talk the whole 45 minutes, an hour. He would listen to all my stories about the stuff that I was going through, at home and whatever. And he would be so concerned. So he made me feel safe, like I could trust him. And so like that was the biggest part for me. And then he was always so into me. Like, as much as I wanted to be around him, he wanted to be around me even more. So like for me, I was like, oh, that's kind of all I need. Like, let's go ahead and do this. Like, we don't need to wait. Let's, let's make it happen. So yeah, those was the two for me. Like, I trusted him. He made me feel safe. And yeah, he was always so into me. Kaneen says she trusted me to lead her into unfamiliar situations. Oh, shoot. Oh, here he go. He's about to be in trouble. He says Sam was real, and I never had to figure out where she stood. but her love for me was there even before the relationship. She always listened to me and gave without thought, and I was waiting for you to answer first. He's terrible. But yeah, I like, the reason I wanted to ask that question is because the guy that asked it online, and I see so many guys in the comment answer like, she ain't do nothing. I just felt like I was ready, so I married her. She ain't do nothing different than all the other women I was with. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, like, and I thought, like, that's so interesting. So you could have just married anybody. Like, what's so special?
Like, you just out here marrying anybody because you ready today, and she right here, she convenient.
Right. And that's kind of how they made it seem. And it kind of made me think of how often we take our spouses for granted. Even little stuff. Sometimes we don't really think back to the things that made us say, you know what, you my forever. Like, we get bogged down with everyday life and everything that's happening, and we don't always think back to the little things, that you like about them. I mean, even now, me and Anthony, we go someplace, and it doesn't matter if he's all the way on the other side of the room. We will be texting each other, talking. Is always, I know I can say something to him, don't matter how outlandish it may be. Even when I say it out loud, I know that is crazy, but he'll listen. He'll listen and let me get it out, and then he'll say, baby, he always knows how to level me out, and I always appreciate that. And I think it's important that we always remember the small things or the beginning things. How it started. You always see that stuff on Facebook, how it started versus how it's going, and sometimes all we can look at is how it's going, and we forget, like how it started. So I wanted to ask it just to see, if you could verbalize, if you remember how small it started to grow into, a whole household and kids, for me, dogs and, and sisters-in-laws and, and in-laws. So much time, passes, and I think we forget the little things. Right. So as a spouse, as a woman, as a man, it's always important to remember the little things. You'll be surprised of the smile you can put on your mate's face by remembering the little things. So I want to thank you, ladies, for coming on. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing, your ideas, your opinions, and even some of your personal details and your journeys. My hope, as always, is something that we say can help somebody, inspire somebody, encourage somebody, and maybe even correct somebody. Because we all fall into those spaces sometimes where we need just a little bit of correction. So thank you, ladies. It has been a joy for me to do this. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. I don't know what my other co-host is, because we should be saying goodnight. I guess he will be making his way. Here he goes. You gotta do this. So, guys, join us again next Monday, 8 p.m. Oh, actually, next Monday is the husbands. So the guys will be on next week.
Yes, indeed.
To hopefully cover their own topics.
Nope, I'm just going to take the same.
We don't need a rebuttal. So tune in next week to hear what the husbands have to say, because they will be leading the charge next week.
Yes. So as always.
Oh.
Did you want to say?
Go ahead.
Love intentionally.
Love unconditionally.
And love on purpose. We thank you guys for being here.